new one. It's the Twister. Get you all twisted and tangled. It's the Twister. Spin the spinner and call the shop. Twister ties you up in a knot. That's Twister. Yeah, Twister.
Right foot blue.
Right foot blue.
Left hand red.
Left hand red.
Left.
Right.
Yellow.
Blue.
Green.
Yeah, Twister. You gotta play Twister.
Hello, my name is Caitlin, and today I will be reviewing 2015 Hall of Fame game Twister. Twister was invented in 1966 and was originally called Pretzel because of the pretzel-like shape players' bodies created when players were playing the game. Twister was invented by Charles Floyd and Neil Roberts over 50 years ago, and has since been a source of nothing but fun and entertainment to all. You can find Twister in just about any store that has a game aisle, and purchase it for under $20. Like your local drugstore, toy store, Walmart, Kmart, or whatever you have. Just walk in and look for a square box with a picture of people playing Twister on the front. When you take the box home and you open it, you should find a mat and a spinner. The mat has 4 lines of different colored dots on it: green, red, blue, and yellow. The spinner also has the option of landing on either your left or right hand or foot. The rules for Twister are fairly simple. You need at least 2 players to play. You will start by spinning the spinner to see what color the spinner lands on. It will be one of those 4 colors mentioned previously. The spinner will also tell you whether you are to place your left or right foot or hand on that color. Then once the player has their color in their hand or foot, they will place their hand or foot on that color. This process will make players continuously change their positions. When holding their positions, players can only have their hands or feet touching the mat, and may not have any other body parts touching the mat at all times. If the player has any other body part other than their hands or feet touching the mat, they will be disqualified. Now, oftentimes when players get further into the game, they realize they are unable to hold their positions and spin the spinner at the same time. The players will then get someone else who is not playing or had been recently disqualified to spin for them, and this is not against the rules. The game will come down to at least two players still holding themselves up, because everyone else has already dropped to the floor and been disqualified. As I'm sure you caught on, the first of these 2 to fall will be the loser, and the last one will be the winner. So Twister is personally one of my favorite games to play, because it makes for fun memories and good times for you and the players you're playing with to look back on. One of my favorite Twister memories is when some of my teammates and I decided to play. There was about 8 of us, and we all really wanted to play Twister. When we finally got ourselves fully placed on the mat, there was absolutely no space to move, making this possibly one of the most challenging Twister games I have ever played. Since there were so many people playing most of the time, it was hard to find a dot that was even remotely near you. You would have to somehow have your left foot on one side of the mat and your right foot on the other, while your right hand was under your friend's side and your left was near your ankle. Despite that, we continued to push through, causing bodies to overlap, placing all of us in discomforting positions everywhere on that mat. I guess you could say this game brought us closer, in a literal and figurative sense. Although the game ultimately ended with a lot of us collapsing on each other and cheating from our supposed winners, we all had a great time. I can safely say if we had played any other game, we would not have had the same experience as we did with Twister. Also, with that being said, I feel Twister is a great game to have just lying around when your friends are over and you're looking for something to do because you're tired of just staring at your phone. Twister is also a game that can be altered to be made even more exciting. For example, I once went to a birthday party where everyone was playing Twister, but with paint. When we add paint to Twister, you take colored paint and place it where the colored dots are on the Twister mat. From first-hand experience, I can tell you this not only makes the game more exciting, but also a bit more challenging. The paint can get slippery and make for a harder time holding yourself up. But I thought it was so much fun to fall into the paint and mix all the colors together. Another way I've also seen Twister altered is by adding more mats. This is so more people can play. You know, as they say, the more the merrier. Although adding a second or third mat may not be exactly the same way or the same concept as one, but altering it so more people can join makes it more fun. As I've been mentioning, Twister is a game that people love to play in big groups, which is why Twister is most always reviewed as a party game. It's a game where you only need 2 to play, but there's always room for more. Twister to me is the perfect game for a party setting. It gives people the chance to move and have fun while creating socialization. It's a game that forces people to break out of their comfort zones, requiring them to get all up in a stranger's business. When I came to Slippery Rock University for orientation, the instructors used games as icebreakers. The ultimate goal of the games was to get us socializing with one another. I do believe those games succeeded in doing so, which is exactly what Twister would be used for in a party setting. The goal behind having Twister at a party would be to try and create a more relaxing environment for socializing. I mean, honestly, I can't think of a better way to get acquainted with someone other than having their foot in your face. With all this being said, Twister is a great game for large groups of people or parties. I feel it can also be a good game for small groups of people, though, and it can still be enjoyed even when only 2 are playing. To me, games are all about who you play them with. Depending on the person, you could have a good time or a bad time. So all I can say is to make sure you pick someone you know you'll have fun with. But not every game is perfect, and Twister does have its downfalls. We'll start with the fact that not everyone can always play. Twister only comes with 1 mat, and only so many people can fit on that mat before it becomes almost impossible to play. Without the purchase of another game, it could be challenging for a large group of people to play Twister. Also, Twister may not be the best game for someone who is physically impaired to play. Since Twister is a game that involves physical activity, participants have to be capable of holding themselves up for possibly long periods of time. I remember a time when I was younger and my cousins and I wanted to play Twister, but one of them had a broken thumb and was in an arm cast. We still attempted to play until we realized she was unable to put pressure on her left arm. We then decided to stop playing because it's never a good time when someone is in pain. I know if I were a doctor, I wouldn't want my patient with a broken arm to be playing Twister and putting pressure on that arm. My personal thought on this is that all games have their downfalls, and not every game is perfect or always fair. Still, that doesn't mean the game can't be enjoyable. I understand some people may not enjoy Twister, but hey, maybe they just don't want to be that close to people. I get it. People are smelly. Maybe Twister reminds you of doing a plank because you have to hold a position for a long period of time. You just really hate doing planks. Or maybe you just never won and you're bitter. I'm joking. Overall, I think Twister is a great game. Maybe even the best box game in the game aisle. I mean, I've only ever had good times playing Twister. I would definitely recommend Twister to anyone looking for a fun game to play or just someone walking around complaining that they're bored. In conclusion, Twister is a good way to bring friends, family, or even strangers together in efforts to have a good time. I mean, the game was just recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, so it's got to be somewhat good. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. I really hope that this review helped you decide whether or not you should purchase Twister, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen.
Twister, you gotta play Twister in your stocking feet. Standing on this crazy colored sheet. That's Twister, yeah, Twister. Who makes the best games in the world?
Twister. I'm Twister Brad. Oh.
You gotta get it. Yeah, Twister
From MD.